Tonight, a truck carrying grain rolls at Crystal Brook. The driver miraculously left uninjured. And a sea of RMs and Akubras. The crowd goes wild at Wilmington for the return of the rodeo.
From our 7 Spencer Gulf Studios, your nightly news with Madeline Kerr begins now.
Good evening, thanks for joining us. A truck travelling through a major intersection at Crystal Brook caused traffic delays this morning. Emergency services were called to the intersection of Augusta and Goyder highways around 5:45 after reports came in that a B-double grain truck rolled over onto its side. Thankfully, the driver wasn't injured, but police set up speed limitations for traffic, which was still able to pass through as crews worked to clean up the spill and get the truck up and out of the way. As always, a reminder to drive safely when travelling on country roads. This crash could have easily been a lot worse. As the Riverlands continue to be inundated with floodwaters, Port Augusta City Council has lent a helping hand. The council has sent a number of generators to the flood-affected areas in an attempt to ease the pressure on the councils there.
The River Murray flooding has brought pain and disaster to thousands of affected residents for over a month. To help out, Port Augusta City Council has donated power generators to flood-affected local government areas.
Our sympathy certainly does go out to many people in the Riverland area, and it's really lovely as a council to be going ahead and supporting councils down in that particular area and communities as much as we possibly can.
The donation, one of many from local governments across the state.
Port Augusta wasn't the only council to offer up equipment to help with the flooding events over in the Riverland. Yes, it's a nice, beautiful little 66 kilovolt amp generator loaned to the Mid-Murray Council.
The generators may be a small part in assisting the flood effort and recovery, but every bit helps, and local councils working together is a welcome sign for the communities. And once the situation subsides, the equipment will be returned to Port Augusta.
I understand the flooding wasn't quite as bad as we expected, but I don't have a return date yet.
The flood waters have begun to recede, but drivers from the Spencer Gulf are reminded that warnings remain in place as the danger hasn't passed just yet, and conditions can change rapidly. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The townsfolk of Wilcannia held a market day on Saturday morning, with proceeds going towards the Barker Cultural Centre. The centre is just one of the projects that Central Darling Shire has in the works, with construction now underway for a new Indigenous health hub.
It was a hot day on the Darling River. Dedicated locals braved the heat to set up market stalls. From books to food, there was still something for everyone, all to support the Barker Cultural Centre.
Every table that's been sold there today, like for the stall, it goes back into the Barker Culture Centre, yeah, and that's for generations.
The centre's new board members are looking forward to bringing their predecessors' vision to life.
Now, to put their reality out there, what they thought and what they seen, I'm glad I'm a part of that plan.
The board also has some youth on its side as well, giving young people a voice.
It's a good opportunity for me to speak on behalf of the other young people as well, to give our intake on how we think everything should be or what we could see happen.
Originally scheduled to be completed and operational in early 2022. Construction of the Barker Cultural Centre endured setbacks due to COVID, but if all goes to plan, construction is set to begin in April. What has started construction is the new Murray-Mar Indigenous Health Centre, which should be open in 12 months.
It will not only provide just your normal GP services, but it will actually provide additional health services in podiatry, dental, which is already provided, but it will just lift the standard of service a lot better.
It is great news for Wilcannia.
Going to be a fantastic build for the community in the sense of delivering further healthcare to the Wilcannia and the immediate area.
Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The rodeo season continues in the Flinders Ranges, with the Wilmington Rodeo drawing thousands over the weekend. Making its big return since the pandemic, It's one of the town's biggest annual events. And our reporter, Daniel Pizarro, went along.
A night of partying, spectacle and a few beers in Wilmington.
Wilmington!
The town's rodeo made a triumphant return, bringing in the crowds from near and far.
After the last couple of years that we've had, it's been a great turnout. We had a bit of a slow start for the rain, but we're finally back on track and it's been a beautiful night so far and we'll keep it going.
The rodeo was opened by member for Grey, Rowan Ramsey, who praised the importance of the event and its impact on Wilmington.
It gives them a purpose. I mean, there's other things that happen in Wilmington as well, but this is the big one. And it also provides a lot of benefit back to the local sporting organisations, the clubs and committees that actually run catering booths here or work on the gate and get paid for, however it works down the line.
As day turned into night, visitors saw almost 24 events, from barrel racing, team roping and of course the bull rides, with some injuries recorded and tense moments. The crowd were well behaved throughout the night and were delighted the rodeo has returned after the pandemic.
It's really good to see a fair few people out here and yeah, hopefully it goes well.
There's a lot of work goes into this. I was involved with one for 5 years, and you've got to get the caterers in place. You've got to get people to work on the gates. You've got to make sure the equipment's all up to scratch and no injuries down. You don't want any sharp edges in your yard.
The next regional rodeo is in Maribel on February 11th. Daniel Pizarro, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
Still to come tonight, have your say on what Port Lincoln's $150,000 dog park should look like. And 16 years since Clare last hosted, the 2023 SA Rural Women's Gathering is returning to the Mid-North. Welcome back. After the first designs for a new dog park in Port Lincoln were abandoned in 2021, fresh plans at a brand new location have been released to the public. Community members are being urged to have their say on what the park should and shouldn't have, with consultation closing next week.
Plans released to allow dogs off the leash. The Port Lincoln Council is asking for community feedback on plans to develop a dog park on council land near Puckridge Place.
It's a disused sort of tennis court area, and there's some grounds around it that haven't got a real purpose. So to incorporate a dog park in that area sounds like a great way to make that space reactivated again.
The plans detail a $150,000 redevelopment to enclose the area, add more vegetation and add dog-friendly drinking bowls. This location was selected due to its industrial location to limit noise pollution to residential properties, a problem that drew unfavourable community feedback for the original dog park plans laid out for Nelson Square.
Nelson Parks was one of the areas originally earmarked for potentially being a dog park. Instead now, Council will have a concept plan out for consultation again in terms of rejuvenating that space as well.
To make sure Nelson Park isn't left out, there are also plans to establish a multi-access toilet facility, basketball court and new tennis facilities.
Tidying it up generally, incorporating some play equipment that's being repurposed from other sites in Port Lincoln and just bringing some more energy to the space.
Consultation closes next Thursday, February 9. Edwin McCarroll, 7 Spencer Gulf News.
The first Rural Women's Gathering took place in Victoria back in 1989, then referred to as the Women on Farms Discussion Group. Since then, the name has changed, but the aim has stayed the same. And this year, the big event will be held in Clare.
Just under 2 hours' drive from the capital is the picturesque Clare Valley. A hidden gem of the Mid-North, it's the perfect place for this year's Rural Women's Gathering.
Individuals in communities or community groups can put their hands up and put a pitch in to host a gathering. Last time it was held in Clare was in 2007.
The gathering attracts women from all over regional South Australia to partake in workshops, networking, and access to opportunities for self-development and self-expression, all while having fun and making new connections.
Some of them have come to everyone since they started, and so they know each other really well. Others have just found out about the gathering and turn up, but they come back again to see friends they haven't seen for a year and catch up.
The gathering is also a great opportunity to experience the Clare Valley and will boost the local economy.
Some people may decide to come a bit earlier or stay a bit longer, so I think economically for the region it's a really good thing. It's a really good thing for Clare.
This year's theme is Superwomen, focusing on sustainability and strength. The committee now on the search for speakers and workshops to fit the theme. The event kicks off on Friday, August 18 and runs through to the Sunday. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us after the break. You've heard of sister cities, but what about sister towns? Meet Moonta's new sibling. And $5.5 million worth of renos on the way for Broken Hill's ever versatile Musicians Club. Welcome back. The Copper Coast Council has entered into a long-distance relationship with Camborne Town Council all the way over in Cornwall, England. And despite the towns being so far apart, their similarities are uncanny. Annabelle Francis explains.
With their matching mining histories, Moonta is known as Australia's Little Cornwall. And now the Copper Coast Council is making it official, entering the pair into a sister town agreement.
Time difference is a bit of a factor, you know. When I met with Mayor Fox to sign the agreement, it was 8 o'clock at night here and it was 10 o'clock in the morning there.
While Moonta already has the Cornish pasties down pat, there is plenty more to be learned about one another.
A lot of our heritage is Cornish heritage. There's opportunities for many groups within the Copper Coast to reach out to the similar groups in Cornwall to get ideas.
The relationship will also assist in the World Heritage listing of the Moonta mines, something the whole community wants and is working towards.
I know myself, I've started following them on social media, on their Facebook, and I've already got some ideas of things that we can implement here on the Copper Coast.
For more information about the agreement, visit Council's website. Annabelle Francis, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Broken Hill's Musicians Club is set to receive some major upgrades. Scheduled to begin in April, the $5.5 million renovation will be done in 2 stages, with the aim of modernising the Crystal Street Club.
Exciting times ahead for the Musicians Club, getting its first facelift since the late 90s, making it more accessible for patrons whether visiting or having a function at the venue.
The main thing is bringing it up to modern standards, accessibility, new AV equipment, hearing impaired loops, parents' rooms and a kids area.
The works have been on the agenda for some time. However, they were not able to be done as back in 2014 the club entered into administration and the business had to be repaired, meaning it would be a while before the club received any TLC.
We're now at that stage where through the support of everybody, the community and the visitors to town, we're able to get everything we want done.
Day-to-day operations will not be affected during the renovations, as any work that would disrupt the business will be done at night.
There may be some disruptions to functions as we put our kids' room in, but talking to the project managers, we'll be able to work around everybody and the disruptions will be very, very minor.
Broken Hill-based companies will be heavily involved in the revamp thanks to a locals first policy agreed upon by the club and the project manager.
From what I'm hearing, they will be successful, so we're looking forward to welcoming a lot of local trades onto the project.
The works are set to be finished by September. Joshua Mercer, 7 Spencer Golf News.
Stay with us. After the break, we'll have all things local cricket, including Corn's huge win over Central Augusta. And how's the week looking in your town? We'll have the weather details with Ruby Cairns. Welcome back. Teams had the joy of facing off in both rain and shine over the weekend when they took to the crease. On Friday, Whyalla players got to compete in sweltering 38-degree heat, while Port Augusta cricketers enjoyed a downpour on Saturday.
In the second week back for Whyalla cricket, it looks like players have shaken off any rust that may have formed over the Christmas break. After their win last week, Northies had the bye in Whyalla, giving Centrals a chance to scrape back their lost points by facing off with Rapina. Winning the toss, the Roosters opted to bat first. Jared Dunbar putting away 29 runs before being bowled out by Rapina's Parth Patel. Central's Ryan Parker and Daniel Coulson were both out for a duck, with Parker getting out by LBW. This is where it began to slip away for Centrals. Rapina's Clay Crompton stepped up to bowl and took 3 wickets to round out the innings. Switching over, Central's bowlers were able to take 4 wickets, but unfortunately just couldn't manage to stop Dale Chenoweth. Dale making 39 runs not out and pairing with Clay Crompton to practically carry Rapina all the way to the win. In the Port Augusta League, Quorn defeated Central Augusta by an impressive 146 runs, while in the other game, South Augusta's 10 for 61 was easily dismissed by Westies, who went 3 for 63. In Port Pirie, despite a close contest, the Prop Panthers went on to beat the Port Germain Sharks, and Southport's 9 for 114 was defeated by the Rams 8 for 115. Over in Broken Hill on Saturday, West defeated South by 34 runs. West's Peter Christos bringing home 31 of those runs himself. And in the other game, North faced off against Centrals. Batting first, North's 106 runs were enough to hold off the Centrals' 97 and keep the Doggies' hot streak going. A perfect game for Northie's new debut Ben Jerd, who struck 5 boundaries in his 26-run innings. That's it for this week's Cricket Wrap. Tune in tomorrow night where we take a look at the results from our region's other sports.
Sure is good to see all the leagues back in action. Thanks for that, Eddie. Well, it's time now to take a look at what's happening in the weather with Ruby Cairns. Ruby, we had a break from some of the extreme weather today.
Indeed, Maddie, it was pretty average for this time of year. A welcome change after some days well in excess of 40 degrees last week. But it was a windy morning in Whyalla. Gusts of up to 43 kilometres an hour were recorded at 4 a.m. The Steel City warming up to 25 degrees by mid-afternoon. Port Pirie was actually warmer than Coober Pedy today, 28.3 degrees compared to the Opal City's top of 27. Looking more broadly at today's weather map now, and 28 in Port Augusta, 26 in Woodner. Adelaide Airport top 24.6 degrees just after 12:30. Taking a look at the satellite image now, a high pressure system south of the Bight is bringing in a fresh south to southeasterly flow over South Australia. This system will start to weaken tomorrow, allowing for a weak front to pass over the south on Wednesday. Moving on to tomorrow's weather outlook now, and let's start with the Gulf waters. South to southeasterly winds 10 to 15 knots, tending south to southwesterly 15 to 20 knots. Seas around a metre, increasing up to 1.5 metres by early evening. South to southwesterly swell around 1 metre, increasing up to 2. Cloudy in Port Lincoln tomorrow between 15 and 23 degrees. Partly cloudy 24 for Cleve, mostly sunny 28 in Woodner. Cloud clearing around Whyalla 25 tomorrow, down to 17 tonight. Partly cloudy 28 in Port Augusta. Kadina will be sunny, headed for a top of 27 on Tuesday. 27 in Port Pirie as well, mostly sunny conditions there between 12 and 26 for Clare, 30 degrees and sunny for Broken Hill, tempered by some southerly winds up to 25 kilometres an hour, becoming light in the late evening. Let's take a look further through the week now, and starting with Wednesday's weather. Sunny for Coober Pedy and Broken Hill, 29 and 28 degrees respectively. Partly cloudy conditions in Port Augusta and Port Pirie, 26 there. 24 for Woodner and Whyalla, cloudy, a top of 20 in Port Lincoln. Moving on to Thursday's outlook now, and showers on the way for Port Pirie, Kadina and Adelaide between 20 and 23 degrees. 25 in Coober Pedy, Broken Hill, Port Augusta and Whyalla. Showers top of 21 for Port Lincoln. And finally, taking a quick look at Friday's forecast now. Windy conditions between Port Augusta, Whyalla and Kadina. Cloud coverage in Port Pirie, Port Lincoln and Adelaide. Across the board, temperatures in the high teens to mid-20s. So Maddie, some pretty tame temperatures tomorrow, but I'm sure there won't be any complaints. That's all the weather from me tonight. I'll see you a little later with an update. It's back to you, Maddie.
Tame is welcome sometimes, Ruby. Thank you. And that's the local news this Monday. I'm Madeline Kerr. From all of us here, thanks for joining us. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, enjoy your evening. Good night.